All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready for the next episode of the Big Nano Tech Show. Welcome, everybody. Today, we have a really great show for you. We're going to be talking about breaking into tech. Hope you guys brought all your tools, your hammers, and everything, and maybe a face mask. And we're also going to be talking about a little bit about startups. Without further ado, I'm going to start off the show with a very special guest who has been on with us before, Victor Moreno of AWS. I'm so excited to have him on. He is known as the coding teacher on YouTube. So guys, check him out on YouTube, the coding teacher. He's also got a really great book out all about interview preparation called The Interviewer's Guide. Let me get that right. The Software Engineer's Interviewer's Survival Guide. It's a little bit of a tongue twister. I always mess that up every time. So sorry about that, Victor. But I'm going to let you right in here.
Cool.
All right.
How's it going, Gabriel?
Great to see you again. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about startups, because I know you're a CTO, a fractional CTO in the past, and so those guys know everything about everything. So, and you know all about startups, and I know it can be like, for somebody who's starting up a new company, they may have a vision of what they want to do, but then it might change, or so tell us a little bit about that, like your experience and your advice to anybody who might be thinking about starting up. What are the steps you can do and to make it a little bit more easier, maybe save money, save time?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me start off by talking about the context that I'm coming from, right? And the startups that I've helped launch have all been from non-technical people. And I think, if this advice that I'm going to give probably doesn't apply to people that live in Silicon Valley, or, if you're in a time where VC money is plentiful and you've already worked in tech this advice applies for people outside those tech hubs. With like a traditional background. Everybody, dreams about, or I don't know everybody, but lots of people dream about starting their own tech company and what have you. And I think the most common pitfall is just underestimating how difficult it is. Everybody thinks that they have an idea. They've run the idea by a couple of friends. They're going to launch the app, and then they're going to be the next Zuckerberg within a few weeks. And especially now, like the competition is so steep in everything, like direct to consumer apps, B2B SaaS apps. The competition is so steep that like it really takes a lot of effort to even put the app in the hands of people. So I would say that like you definitely need to have a distribution strategy in mind already, right? Don't just have an idea. Have a reason to believe that you can get that app in thousands of hands. That's step one. If it's a direct to consumer app. If not, then there's a bunch of viable strategies. Like maybe you're a mortgage broker, you have your own mortgage broker company, and you can create an app. You notice that like your payroll software does something poorly for mortgage brokers, something like that, and you can create an app that's like a plugin into QuickBooks or something like that, and you can start there. So start with something that you can use is a super viable strategy. Or start with partners, with launch partners. So let's say a famous story that goes like this is the story of the startup Drip, which was kind of like a micro MailChimp type of thing. And they launched, directly to $7,000 in monthly recurring revenue by just having a bunch of launch partners. So they developed the app in concert with like a bunch of businesses who were using it and giving them feedback. And they spent like a year doing that and collecting emails. And then when they launched, they had a bunch of signups on the first day. And it was like a successful launch after spending like a year developing the app very iteratively and with those launch partners and the needs of those launch partners in mind. So all of that is to say, the main thing you want to avoid is investing a lot of time, effort, and money into launching something that people don't need.
Right. Yeah, perfect idea. Like, yeah, get a bunch of people who are just going to use it right off the bat, but they need. I mean, that's the best way to think about, an app. You have this idea, but something that you would use yourself every day, right? And your friends. Yeah, exactly. Perfect. And like, what's your experience just with the people who come in that mindset of they don't know anything about tech or whatnot, and they want to hire a bunch of people. I mean, do you need to know something about it, or is it better? Maybe it's better not to know, and then you got the more visionary idea, or what's your experience?
No, my experience is it's way better to know. Like that whole thing, oh, not having those mental models uninhibits you. That's kind of like saying, because what people don't realize is that it's a competition. So it's a competition with every other app out there, right? And for the distribution channel too. It's a competition for eyeballs. It's a competition for social media attention. It's a competition for rankings in the App Store. So getting into it like without zero tech experience is kind of like trying to pick a fight with a UFC fighter, never having even been in a dojo. It's like, oh, that's not gonna go well, man.
Right, right,
There's a
exactly.
bunch of best practices and techniques and things that they do that they're really good at. They're gonna crush you, man.
Right. So really do your homework, get to know all the design work, right? Like to
Yeah, and
architect something. It's good to like to know how all, because there's so many tools like that are better than other tools, right? That oh yeah, I could do the job, but maybe there's other. So that's why you guys they hire guys like you, right? The
yeah, but I'm not even thinking about the tech so much. I'm thinking
yeah,
about like the operational aspect of launching the product and the iterative, like iterating into product market fit aspect. Like you want to validate ideas as fast as possible. And the trap that people without tech experience fall into is, okay, I have this really good idea. It's really grand. They take this very waterfall process where they'll hire a designer. The designer makes them like 170 screens, and they have this vision for like a project management for home remodeling app. 170 screens. Now they go to a dev shop, and like the dev shop gives them $150,000 estimate, and it's like, no, dude, no. Put up a landing page, $500. Design a beautiful, awesome landing page. 500 more bucks. Get a copywriter to write awesome copy on that landing page, and then see if people actually want to sign up for an email list for that, home improvement project management thing that you're trying to build. Like spend $1,000 and prove that you can actually get people to want it before you spend 150 grand.
exactly.
It's not even like about the tech. It's about the execution of the tech business.
Exactly. And I think your whole philosophy, about keeping things simple, I think it just can be applied for almost anything, right?
Yeah.
Like when Google came up with Google, right? It's just like, I mean, you can't think of anything more simple than that, right? Just one line.
Yeah. They had a lot of complexity under the hood. They're an interesting story. Like I would say that they're an outlier because they had a lot of complexity under the hood. It was these two like super mega genius PhD dudes that invented a new paradigm for ranking search results. So they started using backlinks and keyword density and all these things that nobody had used before. So they basically, I guess what they discovered is that, hey, look, nobody cares about all the other crap around the search, like the news and the widgets and the this and that. Nobody cares about that. People just want relevant results, and they didn't do any of the other stuff that that other players were doing, and they just focused on the actual value proposition of a search engine, and freaking rest is history.
I know, right? But it's so genius yet so simple, and so
Yeah.
like nobody's doing that, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like Ask Jeeves is like, I was thinking about that the other day. Ask Jeeves is almost like Chat GPT. Like, I mean, he had the same idea, right? But I don't know what happened to Ask Jeeves, but
yeah, but that's another good example of like, it was meant to be like a more conversational search engine, but then ChatGPT came, and
right.
it's still the same idea. Like, let's make it really simple, let's make it conversational, but the execution of ChatGPT is like, dude, like 100,000 times better. So and yeah,
like,
that creates success too.
It's like VR for search engines.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, let's talk a little bit about breaking into tech too, because I got some other guests coming on. One guy, Bogdan, he's from Romania, and he wrote a book called The Scaling Blueprint, and he's going to be talking about that. And then I got another developer talking about breaking into tech. And so, what are your one of his videos, which I thought was great, was like how to get experience without any experience. So I was wondering if you could help us out with that.
Yeah, I'm definitely super interested in what Eric has to say. I think that a lot of the stuff that he says is great. And so especially right now with times being as tough as they are, dude, I think it's really important to get creative and try to get into a tech adjacent job where you can, like, a lot of people talk about side projects and build a portfolio and whatever. When are you doing that, dude? Like your nights and weekends, right? So if you're going to sacrifice your nights and weekends anyway, right? Why do it for a little toy project just for your portfolio when you can be working at a company where it's a tech company? Maybe your role is not tech, but it's tech adjacent. Maybe you can build something for that company that they can use to solve a problem for them, to help them streamline some operation, help them automate some complex, annoying process, something like that. That's much more valuable than a portfolio entry. So, like, obviously, you don't always have these opportunities. But if you can get into even a college, you work at a college as a financial aid officer or whatever, make him a new website, make him an online application portal, make him stuff like that to help the business that you can showcase. And you're basically stealing work experience. Look, I built this thing, I built this web system for this company, and I maintained it for a year, and people are using it. Real people are using it. It's not a ghost little app in my portfolio. So that gives you a lot of credibility. And that's the strategy that I used, like, in the beginning of my career to break back into tech, because I kind of like got kicked out of tech in the 2008 after the aftermath of the 2008 crisis, and I used that strategy to get back into tech. So the first job that I found was as a network admin, and I kind of like started doing that little by little and stealing work experience until I was back as a software engineer.
Right. Oh, sweet. Yeah. That's there's so many different strategies too. Like just even to connect on LinkedIn with other developers, or even if there's some meetups, or and also there's startup, right? There's startup people looking for, they don't have any money or whatever. They got this crazy idea, and you don't have a job, and you're like, hey, well, I can get experience with you somehow,
Yeah, and connecting with other people is super underrated too. Like, peer learning is, at least for me, like I like talking to people. So peer learning is such an underrated way to learn. Like, you can ask the questions. Like, you can't ask questions of a book. Like, you're reading a book and sometimes it's tedious, sometimes you don't understand anything. You can't ask clarifying questions. When you're having a conversation with another developer, not only are they telling you about a real life problem that they face scaling a real world system, you can ask them, hey, look, why did you choose to do that? Why what else did you consider? And you can build a lot of knowledge that way. And I think it's super underrated, networking and talking to other engineers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of people don't even think of it, but that's why I like LinkedIn so much. I feel like there's not another platform like them. I don't. They're so big, they don't need any more PR. But honestly, I do appreciate it. But anyway, about your book. Let's talk a little bit about your book, The Software Engineer's Survival Guide.
Yeah, so I wrote that book with my co-author, Zach, because I thought that all the interview prep books that tackle the data structures and algorithms side of things, they were like too pedantic, too mathy. They're using like epsilon and delta notation and stuff like that. And the truth is that nobody thinks like that. Like, I solve recursion problems all the time, and I solve, runtime complexity problems all the time. And I never really think about, big O in terms of like the epsilon and the omega. Like, I never think about those math equations. And because I never think of that when I'm doing the job, I don't think they're necessary in the explanation. I try to help people create mental models with simpler language, and also teach a little bit about like what the process should be of learning, right? Because it's a thing that you have to practice for a long time before you actually get good at it. And by a long time, I mean, like, if you try to cram it, it's not going to be effective. So it's better to do just small chunks over a long time, and then you won't have to keep re-cramming every time that you're going to look for a job. So I tried to write a book for the book that I wish I had, when I was getting into interview prep.
Right. That's the best way to do it. Like, create the app that you wish you had. Write the book that you wish you had. Exactly. I mean, you got to think of the journey that you're going through, and like try to be useful. And all the stuff that you're talking about is so useful for everybody. Even I'm just like, excited about it.
Thanks.
So Victor, we're about up to 15 minutes. So I got some other guests getting ready to go, but I'm telling everybody where they can get your book.
Millionairecodersclub.com. There's a link there to Gumroad. You can get it there. Also, follow me on LinkedIn and YouTube.
Okay. And everybody, he's the coding teacher, right, on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on, Victor. Hope to get you on next time too. All right. Take care.
Welcome to Gabriel Foley Associates, where we bridge the gap between potential and opportunity. We specialize in technology development, connecting talented individuals with industry-leading firms. Our finest experts bring you software development, web applications, security, and web architecture, and much more. No job is too small or too large. We are the catalyst which will fuel your company's success. With Gabriel Foley Associates, you will dive into the future. Your success is our mission. Call now 415-669-6500. 415-669-6500. That's 415-669-6500. Call now. You can also visit us on the web at gabrielfoley.com. Remember, your success is...
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back and we're going to get ready for Harsh Mangalam, who's an expert coder. He's been on with us before. And he's from LogRocket. He's going to do a live presentation, and I'm going to let him in right now. Harsh, how is it going?
Hey, Gabriel. I'm doing well.
All right. So you're going to give us a live presentation on coding presentation like you did last time. And I forgot, what are we doing this week?
Yeah. So basically, I will talk about the resumability in Quick. So. Okay. Basically, I will start with one example. Okay, so suppose everyone listen song. So suppose you are listening a song and you stop song at some time. You pause the song. Okay, and now if you will play your song, so what will happen? It will start where you left off last time. It will not start from the beginning again. Okay, so this is called resumability.
Okay.
So whatever where you left off the last time, and now it is starting from there, and that is resumability. So let's pick up into the tech, this thing. So what is happening in the full stack meta framework? Okay. So the current generation of framework is basically not resumable. So they hydrate on the client. Okay. So they do the same thing on the server and the same thing on the client. But if I will talk about the Quick that are resumable in nature, so they basically resume the work, whatever they have done on the server to the client. Okay, so I will show this thing using some examples. So it will show clearly how basically they execute JavaScript not eagerly but lazily. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And here you go.
Yes. So my screen is visible now. Yes. So here, basically, so you will see here, this is a simple web page. Okay. So here you will see when I will refresh, I got data basically from the server. Okay. So what I will do, I will create a simple button. So let's say this one is button. and basically I will create one signal here, that is account signal. So I will import use signal from quick, and I will give the initial value. Okay. And now this is a signal, means I can use dot value to assess the internal value, that will be reactive. So now here I can write count dot value. Okay. So now if any time this count will change, so this will reflect the latest value from the count signal. Okay. So here I will write on click handler, and every time if someone will click on this button, I will increase the value of count. Okay, so this one is a simple example where I will show you how quick basically lazily loading the JavaScript instead of downloading all the JavaScript at a time and executing them. Okay, so now you will see, let me add some styles in the button. So because I have already set up Tailwind CSS with this UI, so I can write btn, let's say btn primary. So you will see some sort of design automatically applied from Tailwind. Okay. Okay. Now let's see the console here. So once I will initially load my page, so let me remove the white. Basically, wheat load initially once you will start any wheat related project. Okay. So now you will see. So initially there is no any JavaScript sent to the client. So there is only quick loader, that is 1 KB of file that sent to the client, and their job is to basically lazily load all of your all of your code when required. Okay. So now you will see when I will interact with this button, I will click here. You will see now the required JavaScript code that will basically run this one, the count value that will be download and executed. Okay, so there is no need to download all the JavaScript, that is not required, and there is no need to execute that JavaScript. And there is how Quick basically handle this thing. And due to this resumability nature, they can basically they cannot eagerly run any JavaScript. Okay, so yeah, this one is a simple examples how basically Quick continue their resumability even on the client.
Let me get back in here. Wonderful. So yeah, that's a great, like, yeah, because that's an important little. Now this will be a lot easier than the normal way you do it, right?
Yes. Yeah. And also like Quick is now basically you can, if you are working in Astro project, so basically before Astro you cannot use Quick in Astro, but now Quick have integration with Astro, so you can utilize Astro with Quick. So instead of like utilizing React for isolate structure, you can directly use Quick for just remove that isolate thing. Even you can use the full power of Quick on resumability even on the Astro project.
Sweet. Well, thank you so much, Harsh, for coming on and giving us that presentation. You're so talented to be able to do everything all live. Normally you're like, I'm working on something. I look it up, this thing, look up that thing, blah, blah, blah. But you got it all ready to go. So I really admire you for doing that. So thank you so much. And hopefully we'll have you on next time, Harsh.
Yeah, thank you.
And how can people connect with you?
They can connect me on LinkedIn. I'm on GitHub. They can also connect me on Twitter. I'm also on Twitter. I'm on Discord. So any tech place, people can connect with me.
Okay, you're on Twitter. I got to connect with you. I didn't know you were on there. Okay, cool. What's your Twitter handle? What's your Twitter handle?
Twitter handle is that is Harshmangalam6.
Oh, 6. Okay, cool. Thanks a lot, Harsh, and we'll catch up with you next time.
Yeah, sure.
All right. I'm Gabriel Foley with Gabriel Foley Associates. If anyone needs any kind of a development service, back end, front end, web development, CRM integration, marketing, payment gateway, cloud service, no job too small, too large, give us a call, 415-669-6500, 669-6500. Call us right away. That's my personal number, and I'll take care of you, and I'll get you the best developers out there that'll get you the job in the time you want it. So give us a call, 415-669-6500. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and we have a very special guest today, Eric Anderson. He's the happiest software engineer out there, and I love his content on LinkedIn as well as YouTube, and I came across some great stuff. He's going to be talking today about how to break into tech and all the good stuff, all the tricks, and I'm going to pop him in right here. I believe he's with us. All right, Eric, how's it going?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. So, you get into tech and maybe you learn some coding but you eventually want to get a job, right? So fill us in. Like, what are the tricks? Like, they all say you got to have experience. So, like, I know one of your videos was, how to get work experience without work experience.
Yes, that's right. That's the most difficult thing, because at least in the job search perspective, in a recruiter's mind, at least those that I've worked with, the biggest differentiator in an entry-level candidate is relative work experience. And early on in your career, when you have none, it's easy for you to just focus on what you do have control over, and that is your personal projects or maybe studying data structures and algorithms. But there's another option that I would encourage the mentees that I work with to pursue, which is all about finding alternative ways to get yourself experience instead of waiting for some, corporate benevolent overlord to, gift you that work experience.
Right. I know there's so many different ways, and yeah, I'd love to hear what you have to say. One person said, "Hey, just get a job at Wix, like just in customer service."
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, there are more than one ways to get into tech, and that's the common difficulty is most people I work with are coming from non-traditional backgrounds, other careers, and they don't know what they don't know. So they study software engineering and then just Google software engineering jobs, go to Indeed and look for software engineering jobs, and everybody's looking for the same software engineering jobs. So to touch point a little bit on what you just said, there are other ways: a help desk, IT support, QA. These are other roles, and I got a whole list that I talk about on LinkedIn that you can target those first. There'll be less competition. There's high demand for them. An alternate approach as well is to work with your local network, either through volunteer work or maybe a family friend or family member that you have that owns a small business and doing contract work for them. Now, you may not get paid a lot, or you may not get paid at all, but you're not getting paid to work on a personal portfolio project. So you're not necessarily losing anything by building something for somebody else, but you gain the added credibility.
Right. And now, are there any websites that you might look at to get those kind of? I mean, just besides maybe the usual LinkedIn jobs or.
Yeah, so I would say, keeping in mind that the goal here is to get experience. So Upwork, Fiverr, I mean, these are the common ones that I recommend. You're not going to get paid a lot at all. In order to kind of get your foot in the door, you're going to be having to undercut the competition to put work out there. But at least you'll be able to get experience developing solutions for a real life client, and having to maybe understand a legacy code base that you're inheriting from them. And these are all things that recruiters are looking for is real practical experience.
Right.
Besides that approach, some other websites that I recommend are like Code for America, Donate Code, or ragtag.org. These are volunteer-based organizations that typically have some sort of team lead, technical leadership that is looking for volunteers. So they are wrangling everybody together to try and do some work for a nonprofit.
Oh, wow.
So once again, not getting paid there, but you get experience working on a team now. At least in the software development world, that's half the battle.
Right.
Is understanding how to understand other people's code and be able to work effectively together. So anyway, volunteer work and kind of that low-paying contract work that you can do on the side. I'm not saying 20 hours a week or even 40 hours a week. But these are all things that you can do in your free time on the weekends or in the evenings where you would have worked on a portfolio project. You now work on this, so you can put it as a line item under your work experience.
Right. And that's another thing is like just collaborating with others. That's another kind of skill too, right? Like,
yeah. So there's a third option there, actually. And you mentioned that video specifically, but you can go to different meetups that are not technology based, but are a startup or entrepreneurial focused. You'll meet tons of business owners or budding business owners who have all of these great ideas, but don't necessarily have the technical foundation to execute on any of them. So you partner with these business partners. Maybe you only get paid in equity, but once again, you just put a few hours a week into this while they handle, creating the LLC and formalizing the business documents and all that. Now, all of a sudden, you're a founding engineer on a small startup, and it's work experience, right, that you can put on your resume, even if it's not your typical 9 to 5.
right. And how do you connect with those? Is there a website or a place to go?
So meetup.com is the primary one that I recommend. There are others, but that's the one top of mind right now. You can just do a search for startup or entrepreneur, and there'll be all sorts of events in that space that you can connect and be a part of. And in general, in addition to that, I would also recommend just joining the meetup groups for the local developer groups relative to your technology stack in your area too. Because oftentimes hiring managers or recruiters may attend there, or you connect with other software developers in your local market who would be probably, obviously more experienced than you and maybe more plugged into opportunities in your local market.
Wow, those are some really great pointers. I mean, some people might not think of that, and it's great to learn all these little tricks. It's all about collaboration too, and like you said, people be looking for, because the pay goes way up there, and like if you're trying to start a startup in your business, you don't have any money, or you got this idea, but you got some willing participants who are learning. I mean, that's really great.
It's a win-win for everybody. You get experience, and they can kind of help get maybe a proof of concept out the door that they can show to investors or what have you. And you don't necessarily even need to dedicate 20 or more hours a week to it, which means if you need to, starting out, you can still work a part-time job or another full-time job, still have income coming in while you try to do this career transition.
Wow, excellent. Now, what other stuff do you do? Besides, you have an IT business too, right? Consulting.
It's to clarify, I'm involved in a lot of different things. But primarily, I work for a software development firm, I work for a restaurant company inside of their IT division. Yum Brands, they own KFC, Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, and the Habit Burger. So I work on their backend systems 9 to 5 there, and that is my full-time job.
Oh, okay, cool.
But in my free time, I have my own podcast helping junior developers from non-traditional backgrounds find that first job in tech, where we talk about topics like this, interview industry experts, other recently hired junior developers to give you kind of real-life practical experience. And then I'm also a co-organizer of the largest software developers meetup in the DFW area. So I am biased when I recommend meetups because I host one of them, and I hope you attend so we can develop that network and support each other.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's great. That's what I developed this show, is like to try to bring more attention to software developers. And I think that's what your show is about too, because you always come up with this cool ways to connect and bring out in a fun way too, right?
Yeah. I mean,
So
it's hard. It's a hard industry right now to get into. In end of 2022, early 2023, we had some massive layoffs in big tech. They've continued to a smaller degree, but still at sizable numbers throughout the year, which meant that the average software developer breaking into tech that I work with can take 6 months, 9 months to get that first job. Many kind of give up and get disheartened. So that is why I want to jump in and kind of help where I can.
right. And you make it so exciting too. That's why I was drawn to you. I was like,
All right, thank you.
it's so
I
quick,
appreciate it.
too.
Hopefully.
All your stuff is so quick and eye-catching. I like to do an hour show, but that's kind of my style. But it's more slow and everybody talks. But your stuff is like right to the point, and I love it.
Yeah. It's all based off of my own. I've never been officially diagnosed with ADHD, but I know personally, like if I see a YouTube video and it's over like even 10 minutes, like, okay, well, I guess I will never watch that one. Or if it is, I'm going to watch it on 2x speed and just kind of got to get the content and move on. Yes, there's just life you got to get back to.
No, I know. I totally get it. So yeah, thank you so much for coming on with us, and tell everybody how they can connect with you.
So I am most active on LinkedIn. So Eric B. Anderson, world's happiest software engineer. That's the funny little tagline I have for myself. And then the YouTube channel is just Junior Jobs Podcast, 3 words. Those are the primary social media platforms I'm the most active on.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much, Eric, for taking the time out too. You're so busy and everything. I know you love this, but I'm very appreciative, and I think everybody else will be when they see this.
No, happy to be here and do anything we can to kind of surface strategies to help new folks break into tech.
All right, thanks, Eric. We'll catch up. Hopefully, we'll invite you on next time too.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and we are so excited today to have on with us Bogdan Valiscu from Romania to talk about his book, The Startup Scaling Blueprint. It's all about getting your startup started up correctly and getting it up and go. I believe he's here with us today. Hey, how are you, Bogdan?
Hello. Hi, Gabriel. Nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. I'm so excited to learn about your book. And you're with CodeSwifter, right? Are you the founder of that?
Yeah, I'm the founder and fractional CTO of CodeSwifter. It's a small boutique-sized software development agency from Romania, and we offer staff augmentation and tech leadership as a service to startups and scale-ups. Usually, we work from clients from Western Europe and also US from time to time.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So yeah, you got your web, your application all ready to go. You're a startup. You got maybe your crew, or you got an idea, and then you can go so many different ways, right? I mean, you can get lost in the code, or get bogged down by this, or get lost. So fill us in on how do we get the best out of a good startup?
Yeah, for sure. So first off, when you start working on product, startup idea, there's a lot of enthusiasm initially, and as time passes, that initial enthusiasm starts to fall down as reality kicks in, and then what you have to do is to figure out what are the most important experiments that you can do to get to a point where you can confirm your assumptions about the market needs. It's very important to have a few ideas, such as keeping away from over engineering. It's never a good idea to uh, work on a over engineered solution where you increase the complexity and the maintenance cost. You have to stay away from incurring too much technical debt, and also you have to have some things in mind from the start, depending on the product, such as monitoring. You need to have monitoring in place such that you don't risk small undetected issue causing bigger problems along the way. And after that, basically, you have kind of definition for what it takes to have a product solution fit, and with that you can go ahead and define what would it take to have a product market fit. And basically you kind of define the functional and non-functional requirements for the MVP that is going to be needed to get to that product market fit. At this point, you most likely have limited resources, and technology choices will need to be very cost effective and scalable. In some cases, you might want to test the demand for a specific idea just by throwing out their landing page and see if there is any kind of interest for your idea.
Right. Yeah, there's so many
And
different things that need to be done, and looking and having that information, like your book, the scaling blueprint, just to read through it. It seems like that as a preparation, because you got this
yeah,
big idea. It's one thing to have it in your head, and it sounds like, oh, I'm using this in my head, and but then you sit down right with everybody, and you're like, oh, okay.
yeah. One thing, like a common recurring theme I found in discussion with founders all over the place, but especially in gatherings such as SaaStock, was the idea of falling in love with the problem, not with the solution, because it keeps you closer to the end user, to the customer eventually. And if you focus on that, you can iterate using the approaches from the lean startup, and eventually you will be able to provide them with enough value such that they can uh, become a customer for your product.
Now, would you recommend your book, just for founders or more CTO types, or just both? Everybody should read it who's involved.
So the book initially was meant to be quite a lot shorter than it actually got, and I ended up adding details after details on various aspects that I wanted to touch that were related to the scaling of startup. And I always had in mind to provide as much value as possible for the tech founders, but not necessarily the tech people involved in a tech startup.
Right.
So it should provide quite a lot of value for the other executives, but I also wanted to give some value, some tactics for the more technically inclined, like the CTOs and the likes of it. And yeah, I think it's a good starting point for quite a few things. It
Yeah.
covers quite a lot of topics that are helpful when you want to do the right things in a startup. One thing that I consider is very important is the balance between innovation and stability. And I think this is, I don't know, like if you would have a bird with two wings, one being the innovation and the other one stability, you need to have both one quite good enough in order for the bird to fly. Otherwise, it will fell off.
Right.
And to achieve this, like I said, we have to steer clear, especially in the initial phases, from over engineering. Try to don't to not avoid to not accumulate too much technical debt, to add monitoring to your product, to put in place some crisis management, then also to have some feedback loops. That means maybe to use agile methodologies at some point when you have a bit bigger team. And there are also a lot of operational challenges, such as resource allocation. In the initial phases, you don't have quite a lot of resources, time, or money, and you have to always consider the trade-offs between allocating to one area aspect of the product or another.
Right. Like, yeah, you could waste so much money. It's like, I feel like
Yeah.
money is wasted anyway, but yeah, with your book, you can like, yeah, focus in on trying to save it and just focus on what you're doing. And not just go off on a tangent and create a whole department for nothing.
Yeah, other than resource allocation, it's also when you kind of get a bit more stability, you have to focus on process management, like setting up good repeatable processes that can be used by a different team member once you have that possibility, because eventually you will have to increase the team. As you increase the team, you have to put some solid foundations for preserving the culture, because the culture is kind of hard to keep as the team grows, especially if it grows quite fast.
Right.
And yeah, once again, there is the market flexibility. The market is not standing still. There are a lot of evolving needs, and you need to have the flexibility to adapt to those needs.
Right. There's so much stuff that you can't even see in the beginning that you have no idea. Depending on what way you turn, you might go this way and add one little functionality is like a whole, like it could be a whole team.
Yeah, exactly. And you can use some strategies related to tech to get the most of these initial phases, such as, for example, using cloud computing to avoid handling your own infrastructure. You could use tools such as Terraform to have to avoid issues coming from manual deployment of infrastructure. Then you can use Kubernetes to have like a autopilot for deploying and running applications in the cloud.
Right.
And as much as possible, if you can automate some of the processes, that's a good idea, especially when it comes to monitoring and communicating the status to the important stakeholders. And one other thing that I don't see to done quite okay most of the time is that some more technically inclined teams tend to jump on board and use microservices architectures. These are distributed systems which are really hard to work with, develop, and especially debug. And they come with a lot of complexity. One better approach would be to instead go with a modular monolith and you kind of get the best of both worlds, and you also have the flexibility to switch to microservices once you are able to measure and detect where are the bottlenecks.
Right. Yeah, get those tools later that you might then more refined.
Exactly. And yeah, if you have a team, it's ideal to have an API first approach. You define the connection points between the modules beforehand, and then you can have functionalities developed in parallel, including UI, UX.
Right. Yeah, there's so much stuff to think about and plan over. I mean, some people plan their stuff and their thing doesn't get kicked off for like 10 years, but
Yeah.
hopefully we can get those startups done faster if you plan it all out, beforehand. You get down on the whiteboard and start writing it all out.
Yeah, indeed. So
So thank you so much for
there
coming.
are
Sorry, go ahead.
a few more other tactics that are tackled in the book. The book is available for free on my website, the
Oh, I love
company
it.
website, and yeah, it should provide quite a lot of value for startups, founders, or executives that kind of achieve the product market fit, and they are in the place where are considering how to build things properly for the long
Right. I
term.
mean, even if you had already started up and you're just like halfway through, I mean, you could still use this. Or if you're in any stage, it seems like to more efficiently get things,
Yeah.
scaled. All right. So thank you so much, Bogdan, for coming on. We have a few more other guests to go to, but everybody seems to agree that, simplicity is the answer, right? And so just sometimes we get caught up in all these like complicated things. We think, oh, we're going to go this way and that way. But it's like Victor Moreno he has he calls himself the senior Grug. And it's like just very simple. That's the answer,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's important to start simple and maintain some kind of stability, and also have an eye for flexibility. But it's applicable for product related tasks, but also for the technical aspects as well.
Right. All right. Thank you so much, Bogdan, and we hope
Thank
to
you.
have you on next time too. Like, keep us in mind, and we love to get all the experts on the show. It's so much fun. I love talking to everybody.
Thank you so much. It was really fun.
All right. Talk to you next time. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Foley Associates. This staffing firm is a spotlight illuminating paths for your company and developers alike. On our ship, you'll traverse the tech universe at blistering speed, experience the clash of human ingenuity and robotic proficiency, triumph over obstacles not with arms but through code. At the end, you stand triumphant in innovation's dawn. Gabriel Foley Associates is where your tech dreams take flight. So call us now at 415-669-6500.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're just about to wrap up the show today. We had so much fun. I have a couple of announcements. I am looking for anybody. I have a couple of developers who are absolutely great. One front-end developer that I can connect you guys with. He is a senior front-end developer, absolutely stellar resume. He's looking for a job. So if you guys have any positions, just give me a call, 415-669-6500. And also, I'm trying to put together a show on holoports. I don't know if anybody knows about them, but I am totally fascinated by the Holo chain and Holoport. So if any of you developers are working on the Holo chain or Holoports, I want to talk to you. So give me a call or hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm Gabriel Foley on LinkedIn, or call me up 415-669-6500. And I'm so happy to wrap up the big Nano Tech Show this week. It's the biggest little show in cyberspace, and so I hope to make it even more interesting and even more fun. So if you want to be on the show, just hit me up. Let's connect. So until next week, next Wednesday at 3:00 Pacific Standard Time, I hope to see you all there. Gabriel Foley here, signing right out.